Hey everyone, I hope you're all doing well today. This time we are going to be talking about 1942 on the NES. It's not necessarily my favorite shooter, but this is one of my favorite games from this period, just because of the memories of playing it. There's not a whole lot to talk about with the gameplay here. If you've played any other top-down shooter, or I guess vertical scrolling shooter, however you want to call it, heck, you can call it a vertical scrolling shoot 'em up for all I care, or a shmup, which apparently is the way it's supposed to be pronounced now. Why not? Anyway, if you've ever played a vertical scrolling shooter, this is pretty much what you're going to expect. You're playing as at the bottom of the screen, and you fight off just a ridiculous number of enemies. Or at least it feels like a ridiculous number of enemies. You do have some power-ups that you can get along the way, which usually help out. You can upgrade your little machine gun there from 2 bullets to 4. You can get some little side planes to help you out, which kind of just makes your hitbox a lot bigger. It does make it easier to kill some of the planes, but it really enlarges your hitbox to just a ridiculous degree. I actually don't like this power-up that much, because it does make you a lot bigger. It makes it a little easier for the enemies to take you out, plus those 2 little side planes do have their own hit points, so they can get taken out pretty easily. It's kind of a shame, but, whatever. It's the way the game goes. You also have one-hit deaths, which are fine for a shooter, I suppose. This is an arcade game, so it's a port of an arcade game, so these one-hit deaths, they're basically just the remnants of that. It's meant to be a quarter muncher, and that's pretty much the style of game that you're going to have here. The way you get the power-ups is, by killing off a specific enemy, which is kind of fun. It's the way a lot of these shooters go. You have a specific colored enemy or a specific enemy type that gets killed off, they drop a power-up. In this case, a little POW sign. It can either be white, green, red, white. Yeah, at least those are the ones that I saw. They do different things. Sometimes they don't. It's kind of strange the way it happens, but it's fine. I like the way they did this, just because it's very simple, it's very easy to understand, and you don't necessarily need the power-ups to get through it, but they're always helpful. Or at least at times they're very helpful. Sometimes you kind of wish they would show up, and they don't. You usually only get one type of power-up per stage, so if you get the 4-shot power-up, that's what you're going to be getting for that stage. If you get the 2 little side planes, that's what you're going to be getting for that stage. If you get, the destroy all units on the screen, that's what you're getting for that stage. It's kind of weird, but I understand why they did it. It makes sense the way they did it. And, wow, okay. That was a weird line for me to have written, but it's a very simplistic and easy way to kind of remember things. You also have a little loop-de-loop that you can do, which I honestly keep forgetting about, and I don't really like the fact that it's there. I wish they would have let you have some, instead of the power-up that clears the screen that shows up every once in a while, never when you need it though, I wish they would have given you like a bomb that could clear the screen instead of the little loop-de-loop thing. It just isn't all that useful, and sometimes gets you into more trouble than what it's really worth. Okay, so really quick, what do I like and dislike about the game? I like an awful lot. I think this is a really fun game. What I don't like about it is when you go over the land stages. This is the biggest thing that I really don't like. and you have to fight green. You have to fight a bunch of green planes, and they blend in with the grass, and it's just really goddamn annoying. I do not like the way they did that. I just find it kind of more of a pain in the ass than anything else. I also don't like the fact that you only get one type of power-up per screen or per stage. I wish they would have given you like some other options just to let you kind of build yourself back up, especially when you die and you need to kind of get back into the fight. The enemies coming from the bottom of the screen is also just very annoying. I'm fine with them doing like their little loops when they get down there to make it harder, but when they literally spawn from the bottom of the screen like those big jets do, or some of the others that are just meant to give you points, it can be very annoying. Aside from that, I really like the game. It's just minor problems I have with it. Okay, let's get into the fun part that's probably going to take up half of the video. I played this game an awful lot growing up. I think I mentioned this before, but on my street we had a total of like 10 NES games, or at least 10 unique NES games between like myself, my friend Eric, and my friend Joey. We were the three that really played NES together. And 1942 was one of those games. And so, yeah, we played it an awful lot. We had these, Joey had the game, and he had these god-awful joysticks that were really cool back when I was like 6, but looking at them now and trying them out, God, they were horrible. They were these... It really looked like a joystick that should have been like on a PC flight simulator game. It had these suction cups on the bottom of them, which did nothing. Like, you weren't... I guess it was supposed to like help stabilize the controller or something like that. But my God, was it just very weird. And I don't think we ever set it down on a surface that required it to, be used that way. It was usually just in our hands or sitting on our leg or something like that. And they didn't really improve the gameplay at all. They were just more of a pain in the ass than anything. But regardless of those really stupid controllers, and just the fact that you're doing kind of the same thing over and over again, I've just got a lot of great memories of playing this game. Sitting there yelling at each other and trying to get as far as you could in the game, or at least as far as we could, with one sitting. Not really, I don't think we ever really paid attention to the continue button on this. I think we always just started over at the beginning. That's one thing I forgot to mention. This game has unlimited continues, so you don't have to start all the way over from the very beginning of the game every time. You can just pick up from where your last game over was, which is pretty awesome. It also helps that the game has checkpoints too, so like halfway through the level, if you die, you can just pick up from about halfway through the level. I don't think we ever beat this game growing up. It was one of those instances where a friend, it was either Joey or Danny, because they were brothers, they would talk about how they made it almost to the end of the game, or they did make it to the end of the game and just couldn't beat it. And you just sort of assumed that was the case, because we never really saw them do it, or at least I never saw him do it. I don't know if Eric did, but Eric was kind of a liar, so he might have said that he watched them do it. And because you're 6, you just sort of go along with those things. But yeah, we never made it to the end of this. I think the farthest I saw was like the mid-20s when I was playing through this. And I think I only remember getting to the mid-20s. I never remember getting to the teens in this game. Because 1942 is weird, and it, for some odd reason, counts down instead of up on its levels. I'm not sure why. It's very strange that way, but it's fine for what it is, and it works for the game, I guess. It's still moving you through the stages however you want, but it is a little weird that it counts down. I still remember when I started collecting games, this was one of the games that I bought for the NES. And a lot of my friends were sort of like, why are you picking up this game? Which they said that a lot about every NES game that I was buying, because they were more like Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis fans. And I was more of a Genesis fan as well, but I really like collecting games on the NES. And back in the late 90s and early 2000s, you could probably get like 20 or 30 NES games for maybe $30. Like they were really that cheap. It was probably like $1 a game, and this one was very cheap back then, and it was one that I just have a lot of fond memories of playing and yelling at my friends Joey and Eric and Joey's brother Danny over. It's just a fun game to sit back and play and hopefully make it through. Okay, so let's get into my final thoughts here. That did go on a little bit longer than what I wanted it to, but oh well. I think it still gets the point across to just how many memories I have for this game. Nothing really specific, but anyway, getting into the final thoughts here. 1942 is a very fun arcade game. I think the NES port, it suffers graphically in some cases, especially where the green planes kind of blend into the background. It makes it a little bit harder than it really needs to. I also don't really like the fact that the enemies come up from the bottom of the screen, like I mentioned. But aside from that, it's a very simple shooter, and it's a lot of fun to sit back and play through. I found myself getting a little bit too angry playing it every once in a while, just because I wanted to get farther in it and got frustrated every time I screwed up and ended up having to start from a checkpoint or start over. So that's going to wrap things up, guys. I really enjoy 1942. It's just one of those shooters that you can sit back, play, and not really have to think too much about anything, 'cause there really are no consequences in the game. Or in most games, but yeah, whatever. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I'll talk to you all later. Bye.